Your brand is a very strong brand. You've obviously spent a lot of time working on it. How damaging do you think the reports were in 2012 to your personal brand?
I think publicly it was a very big deal, but I think to everyone that knows me and knows about me and knows where I come from and like the kind of person that I am, it didn't really sway their perception in any way. Because like, I mean, like generally what happens in like instances like this, like you lose your endorsements, like these people shut you out. I mean, like all the things that like, you know what I mean? Like I'm aligned to some very, very big brands and none of that happened. I had a lot of support through that time.
You seem quite silent, though, in the way that you dealt with it. Was that a strategy? That the reports that came out seemed to be very one-sided?
It wasn't a strategy. It was me being me. I've never been the person to say, oh, look at me, this is my girlfriend. Oh, look at me, this is the person I'm dating now. Oh, look at me, this is what's happening in my personal life. So when this stuff was happening, it would have been almost what's the word for unauthentic?
Out of character?
Out of character for me to now all of a sudden be like running my mouth and talking about it.
What about the public outcry though? Did you get fans? You know, I heard that you got some female fans who were like attacking you online.
Like cyberbullying, it happens, and I've fortunately enough been able to develop a very thick skin for like what other people are like constantly saying to and about you. You know what I mean? Like I see stuff that people say on Twitter and I'm like, whatever, like you don't really know.
Did you feel betrayed though by your partner?
To a certain extent, yes. For me, it was like, okay, cool. Irrespective of what happened or how it happened, like what happened behind our closed doors is between you and I, and 100%. Like if there is anything that needs to get to this kind of a level, then like let it get to that kind of a level, but like then let it be that. Do you know what I mean?
So do you think now, I mean, you'd feel more betrayed by people who work with you, who work in your close circle? Was there's a story about you being blackmailed by someone? Is that?
Well, I mean, like that's actually quite a funny story. I have a helper. The helper's been stealing from my house for the longest while. So like money was going missing, clothes were going missing, like small things were going missing, and I decided to like basically try and catch her out, and I caught her out, and I asked her to leave. And in that whole process, it was either you're leaving or I'm taking you to the cops. And I basically said to her, I'm going to take you to the cops because like you've been stealing and like here's all of the proof. And like she didn't deny it at the time. Then I just left it. And then she started threatening me because I thought I'd gone to the cops because I had to also like fired her so she wasn't coming back to work. And she started threatening me and saying that like if I don't go and drop the case or allow her to come back to work, she's going to go and air out my dirty laundry to the public. And I mean,
your
like,
actual dirty laundry?
Yeah,
or,
I'm like,
I mean, it's possible.
I'm like, well, you've stolen my laundry, so bring it back.
Okay.
And I'm like, it's one of those things that happens. And because she thought that like her going to the papers and saying anything that she wanted to say was going to be more damaging than like anything else that I've ever been through, she thought like it was going to have some sort of effect on me, or I was going to say, no, please don't go to the papers. And I told her, like, go. I mean, like, you're not the first helper to blackmail people for doing stuff, and like, I will get over this. Do you find it hard to trust people now because of these experiences that you've had? Look, it's difficult to trust people. My best friend actually always says to me that if you're ever going to get yourself into trouble, it's because of the choice that you made yourself. So sometimes you can't even trust yourself. So you've got no business trusting anyone else, really. And that's my best friend is my dad, and that's what he always says to me. It's difficult for your parents, obviously, to see you exposed in the press. And you had to explain to your mum when you were in the press. It must have been very, very difficult to do that with your family. So, I mean, do you have that? Do you find it's hard to explain to your family that when people say something about you in the press?
Oh yes, especially last year, for me being new in the industry. But I always know how to take it. Look, you also expose how much you can handle, and for me, I've always got the philosophy that you just stay private. How does it make you feel then, like when people speculate? Because I mean, there's one article that comes up when you Google your name. And yes. It just
sitting on a tree.
It's
quite a good title, I must be honest, because they obviously had no concrete evidence, so they thought we'll just go with the rhyme. So when you see something like this, does it annoy you, or is your gut reaction to laugh?
To laugh like we just did now. Which tree though? That's what I want to know.
This publication, probably the worst. And also depending on who wrote the article, I don't know. Because there's certain journalists that are just like out there to get like public figures. And for me, another thing that annoys me about like, the tabloid world is that like some of them are actually trying to be celebrities themselves by how they expose other celebrities and making it seem like they know what's going on in their lives. And I'm like, so what if Nandi is a vocalist, Zakes is a musician? If they hang out together, I would assume that 9 out of 10 they're probably trying to make music together.
Absolutely. Possibly, or they could be doing other things together.
Just music.
Yeah. Is it really just music?
It's of paramount importance to stay private, mainly because, you know, should it not work out? Should it work out? Should there be some? I mean, the worst thing is having to explain to literally all of you guys and say, well, it didn't work out, guys, because...
Yeah, like one weekend she's seen with Zakes, right? Because she said, me and Zakes are together.
Yes.
And then, like, she doesn't explain that, like, me and Zakes have broken up. And then next weekend she's with Euphonik. And then the article that comes after that is, Nandi is a slut. Like, and that's how they roll. They won't even ask the questions.
Don't you think you make life a little bit more complicated for yourselves?
Of course. Social media makes it complicated because I mean, like, as a person in the media industry, it's also difficult to say, okay, I'm a doctor now and I'm in surgery and now I'm at home with my, you know what I mean? Because you're constantly doing what you love and what you're passionate about. So your life and your work are all one and the same thing. Yeah. So how do you say to yourself that, like, okay, I'm only going to Instagram when I'm behind the decks and I'm not going to Instagram when I'm like at home? Do you know what I mean? It's difficult, but it requires great discipline.